Story number 1. My mother had police throw me out of her house 10 minutes after arriving for my father's funeral. This week was unlike any other. I lost my father. But it wasn't just his death that shattered me, it was everything that followed. The call came from my estranged mother, of all people. She told me in the most detached voice that my father had passed. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. I was hundreds of miles away in Florida, and he was in California, a lifetime away. I booked the next flight out. I didn't know what else to do. I had to go to help my mother, to bury my father. The logistics of it all were overwhelming. I hadn't spoken to my mother in years, not really. But I was going to show up, because that's what I knew how to do. I've always been the one to show up. By the time I landed in LA, I was exhausted. The flight had taken hours, and it felt like I was walking through a fog. I tried to find a hotel room in Camarillo, but there were no vacancies. Every hotel in town was booked because of the fires raging across LA. The whole city was in chaos. So, with no other option, I drove to my mother's house at 2 a.m. I texted her to let her know I was there, but she didn't answer. I knocked on the door. Nothing. I rang the bell. Silence. I screamed for 20 minutes, loudly, urgently, until she finally shuffled to the door. When she opened it, I saw a stranger. Her face was hollow, her eyes empty, her skin ashen. Her hair, matted and tangled, hadn't been touched in days. She was wearing a dirty bathrobe and mismatched socks. No warmth. No hug. No kiss. Just a cold, blank stare. She led me through the house, a place I'd never been allowed inside of as an adult. Sheets covered the furniture. Everything was a mess, as if time had stopped there years ago. She didn't have a room for me. I was going to sleep on the couch. I told her to go back to bed, that we could talk in the morning. But she didn't go upstairs. She just stood there in the doorway, looking like a ghost. And the tension in the air was suffocating. I knew that this was not a house of healing, but of unspoken wounds, of unresolved history. I couldn't bear the silence anymore. I asked her what she planned to do moving forward. She said she was selling everything and moving to Israel. I offered to help. I asked her if she wanted to take anything with her, anything she cared about. She said no, that she was giving it all away. No attachments, nothing. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I had to ask about the Thunderbird. The 1969 Ford Thunderbird my father had spent decades restoring. The car he had promised me since I was a kid. The car he had told me would be mine when he was gone. Her response was cold. Final. She said he hadn't left it to me. And then, without missing a beat, she told me she didn't like me. Didn't like how things had gone between us. Despite everything I'd done for her, caring for her after surgery, paying her taxes, flying across the country to help her with this move, none of it mattered. Before I could process what was happening, she had the phone in her hand, calling the police. She asked them to come, to remove me, as if I was trespassing in my own father's house. I was in shock. My heart pounded in my chest. I didn't understand. When the police arrived, they told me I was trespassing and walked me to the door. And then my mother, in that same cold, indifferent voice, threatened me with a restraining order. I left quietly. I told her, as I walked out the door, that she would never see my face again. I would never speak to her again. The words hit me like a cold wave. And in that moment, I meant them. I stood outside in the cold for 20 minutes, waiting for an Uber to take me to Marina del Rey. I didn't know where I was going, but I couldn't stay there, not like that. I spent $400 on the ride, but I didn't care. I needed distance. I needed peace. I ended up staying with a friend. The next day, I took a flight back to Florida. I'm not going to the funeral. I couldn't. The weight of everything, the loss, the betrayal, the years of silence, was too much. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to my father. And I don't know if I'll ever understand why things turned out this way with my mother. But I do know this. The world I came back to isn't the same one I left. And somehow, I'm still standing.
Story number 2. My mother has been secretly putting food I'm allergic to in my meals. I've been home for summer break, and recently I've been displaying allergy symptoms. Swollen throat, shivering, watering eyes, etc. Initially, I believed that since I had just started an internship, that I was coming into contact with some sort of mold in the office. Then, my eczema began to flare up. The worst flare-up I've had in 5 years. Out of nowhere. Again, I believe that maybe it was because of the weather. My allergies can be very unpredictable. Until today, when my mother told me that she's been squeezing lemon in my food. to test whether or not I was actually allergic without my knowledge. I'm very allergic to citrus, and I've been eating this food for weeks, which is probably why I've been getting so sick. I'm so enraged. My mother has always been abusive and mentally ill, but I never knew she's been capable of something like this. She's been gaslighting me after I found out, and I feel like I'm going crazy.
Story number 3. Long rant. Okay, please tell me I'm not alone in this. This probably ends up being some therapy rant, but I digress. My whole life I've had to deal with moments, every so often, which just bother me so much. Most times things are fine, but the times they're not just bother me so much. In school I used to be one of the top students in my class. I know what people are thinking, but no, not Asian parents or anything like that, not even ones who are super educated. All my grades were at worst at the class average. If a class was tough and the class average was a C-, and I got a B, my parents would be like, "That's no excuse, who cares about the class average?" I care. It was a hard class with a tough teacher. Clearly, I did better than most. And many times, I'd get grades like A- and A's. But because my siblings got better grades when they were my age, my parents would always just point to the negative here. After a while, it really took its toll on me. I wasn't going to school to learn or improve myself. I was simply just trying to get grades good enough for them to not give me some disappointment lecture. Eventually, I just gave up in caring what my grades were, as long as I passed. After realizing it didn't matter if I got a 90 or a 70 in high school, it wasn't good enough. And in life in general, I feel like I can never just be me. They always have certain standards of what they think people should act like, and anyone else who is different is weird. It's like being forced to look a certain way, act a certain way, eat a certain way. It just drives me crazy, especially being someone who is very chill and laid back. I'm usually just a go-with-the-flow, sarcastic type of person, but they don't like it. I can even make simple jokes or one-liners, and they act like I have a mental problem. For example, one time I just jokingly did something like, "It's on your left." "Wait, I meant your other left," and they acted like something was seriously wrong with me, as if I didn't know directions or that they had never heard the "your other left" line before. On top of all of it, I might have small moments every so often where I'm really happy or real depressed and mad. But that's more to do with my surroundings and maybe mental health reasons, not being bipolar or anything like that. Anyways, there are moments I'm feeling one way or the other, really happy or really mad and depressed, and they just get mad at me for that. It's okay to feel happy about things that genuinely make me happy, and it's okay to be depressed about things which make me depressed. But they just ignore all logic and reasoning. It doesn't help when at times they take these personal jabs at me, which if anything, is the cause for most of my angry depression episodes. And other times they'll honestly believe some completely fake stuff about me. They don't make it up on purpose, but they remember things incorrectly and write it off as complete fact. Could be something random like, "Since when did you not like fill in the blank?" And my answer, "My entire life." Have you met me before? And worse is when they spread it to family members and people end up getting fake news about me, simply because they can't remember things properly. Can anyone relate?